Hola, 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 hola a todos. ¿Qué tal? ¿Me oís? Sí. Bienvenidos al primer meetup de la temporada 2025-2026 de Barcelona Bitcoin Only. ¡Bravo! Enhorabuena a todos por estar aquí. Thank you for being here. We're going to have an international speaker today, so we're switching to English. So we are Barcelona Bitcoin Only. For those of you that don't know what this is, we are a group that talk about philosophy, we talk about education, we talk about all type of discussions that are technical, we talk about cypherpunk movement, we talk about some economy, and of course, we are here to do a lot of networking between like-minded people. And the main topic of discussion is always Bitcoin. What a surprise. But Bitcoin only, okay? We're not talking about investments, we're not talking about speculation, we're not talking about what is the next shitcoin or the next meme coin or whatever. If you ever get approached by somebody that is trying to sell you whatever next, I don't want to use words. Well, for that we have other places to talk about that we will discuss later. But we are a big group on Telegram. We are more than 1,000 people. I know that from time to time there is like these weird accounts that are trying to reach out and to say things that doesn't align with us. We are a group of admins that are trying to keep like sanity inside of the group. And I'm telling you this here as well in person. These people that sometimes is on the group might come to these places. So just be careful of the people you meet here, the people you talk to. And if you are, I cannot see the faces, but if any of you is here trying to sell us our next shitcoin, we're watching. So this is not the place, all right? So in Barcelona Bitcoin Only, we have a couple of projects. Like, for example, we have a website with a lot of knowledge base, like education. We also have a server, a Bitcoin server that is called a node that you can connect to, you can play with it, you can access to the mempool and see the transactions if you still don't know how to run your own node. Then we have a couple of friends that are doing like some type of businesses in Bitcoin, like Bitronics, if you want to buy some gear, or Kamisatoshi, or Minivolt, or La Bitcoineta. There's many projects, and we invite you all to get in touch with them. Besides the projects, we also have different communities. So it's not only like these meetups that we meet like once a month in this place or in other places that we also organize the meetups. We randomly meet up just for some drinks, or we meet up now recently for some walks. So maybe you heard about Trovadas Bitcoiners, Bitcoin meetups, to go walk with some random people in random places to start it's like a more relaxed space where you can start talking about Bitcoin from the very early on, from the beginning, right? And besides Trovadas Bitcoiners, we also have Barcelona Finance Hub, which is another space, another meetup for more economical focused meetups. But today we also have some friendships with some Bitcoin merchants. So for example, if you want to get your next jamón serrano, in Puchet, there is like a nice voucher that you can pay in Bitcoin. Or if you want to buy your gear to build your own node, you can use the Hierro Store. Or in a couple of months, when ski season starts, you can get your private trainer that can help you with ski lessons and pay in Bitcoin. And also, we meet sometimes at Bar Coyote, where you can also pay for your drinks or anything you want to get there in Bitcoin. So this is like the whole community, right? And now that I presented what is this, what is BBO, what is Barcelona Bitcoin Only, I'd like to introduce you to Thomas Voegtlin. Maybe some of you already know him. He has been in the space for quite a while. He was the founder and creator of the Electrum wallet. Anybody knows about the Electrum wallet? Yay! Thank you, guys. That was like one of the first Bitcoin wallets. He created it in 2011. And today he's going to tell us a little bit about what is Electrum Wallet today, some plugins, some interconnections with Nostr, and etc. So before I'm going to hand over the mic to him, when you arrive here, when you enter through the door, you've seen a table with a couple of merch there. So there are stickers, there are, oh, the hammer, there are seed signers, a lot of t-shirts. All this is for you guys to take for free. So don't abuse it. So just take one and think of the others. And please, if you like what you're hearing here, you can give us some donations on chain or on Lightning. And if you would like to participate with the space, with co-working Transforma, you can order some drinks at the bar. There, our Antonio, our barman Antonio, is going to serve you. And of course, he takes Bitcoin. So thank you very much for listening. And now I'm going to give the stage to Thomas. Thomas, thank you for being here. And the space is yours. Bravo.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I really like Barcelona. Thank you, Jordi. I like the hammer. I think I should have a hammer whenever I give a talk. That's the perfect weapon. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Electrum, of course. So Electrum is, so this is my PGP key. This is what you use in order to verify the binaries. And I try to put it on the first slide of every presentation because you need to have a side channel that is not our website in order to know what the legit private key is. So this will end up on different YouTube videos everywhere, and that's better. Okay, so Electrum was created in 2011. Yeah, it's pretty early. I did that actually because there was, in 2011, there was a big event called the mybitcoin.com fiasco. Okay, so maybe you don't know about it because it was not, the value of Bitcoin was not very high at this time, but in terms of number of Bitcoin stolen, it was huge. It was bigger than MTGOX. And so I decided to create a wallet that would be more secure than a website. So just for the record, mybitcoin.com was a wallet, website wallet, that was custodial, of course, and that was run anonymously. So the owner, nobody knew who he was. He has never been found. One day he just announced that, oh, but 50%, or I don't remember, 51 or 49% of the coins have been stolen. So I'm going to reopen the website and you can withdraw your 51%. And of course, this was the perfect cover to steal the other half. If somebody was watching on the blockchain, organize a big mess like this is really good. So, okay, I decided to create a Bitcoin wallet that would give the same user experience as a website without all the dangers. Because at the time, you had basically the choice between running Bitcoin Core and synchronizing very slowly, or running a website. There was no middle ground, really. So, okay, Electrum is light, it's fast, it supports now on-chain and Lightning. Lightning, we have, I think it was in 2017, we started to support Lightning. And your funds can be recovered from seeds. You own the keys, not only for the on-chain part, but also for Lightning. This is very important because there are lots of wallets that are custodial for on-chain, but when it comes to Lightning, they are not custodial unless you run an LND node. And Electrum is SPV. It means that you verify, the client verifies that the transactions are in the blockchains, that the coins that you receive actually exist, using verifying the proof of work. So SPV is a protocol that is lighter than the full Bitcoin protocol, and it's part of the Satoshi Nakamoto paper. It's described in the paper, in the white paper, how to quickly verify a transaction using the chain of block headers. Yeah, I suppose everybody is familiar with what I said so far. Okay, this announcement I also make in every presentation. The Electrum website is multisig. It means that developers like me do not have access to the website. I do not have the power to modify the website unilaterally. Okay, we have a sysadmin who has the keys. He can do an SSH to the website, but this sysadmin does not have the PGP keys to sign the binaries. I have a PGP key, and my key is not sufficient to, I mean, I can sign a binary, but this is not sufficient to upload the binary. It must be signed by at least 2 developers. So in other words, you cannot put a gun on my head and force me to do a malicious release of Electrum. And what we guarantee, of course, is that the binaries, they are deterministic, so they match the source code. So we don't guarantee that there are no bugs in the source code, of course, but at least you can read the source code. All right, so let's get started. Electrum 4.6 has a bunch of new features, and I want to talk about this. So we released the 4.6 version in July this year. Yeah, there are big things. Okay, the first thing is, of course, the terms of use screen. Maybe you have seen it. Maybe it's already been annoying you. We just do this so that people understand that if somebody offers Electrum support on Telegram or something like that, it's a scammer, it's not us. We have built-in Nostr support. So we do this through a library called Electrum AIO Nostr. And this library is, I mean, we forked it, actually. There was a library called AIO Nostr that we thought was interesting because Electrum is using async IO for networking. But it was not really what we wanted in terms of dependencies. So we removed a bunch of dependencies because we don't like to have dependencies in Electrum. And so this Electrum AIO Nostr only relies, I mean, it has only a single dependency, which is libsecp. We have an Electrum front-end to libsecp, but that's all. We removed all the other dependencies. Using Nostr, the first application of Nostr is Submarine swaps. So Electrum has been offering Submarine swaps for a while, but the new thing is that now they are decentralized. They are taking place over Nostr, Anchor channels, and third-party plugins. So today I'm going to talk mostly about those 2 things, the swaps over Nostr and the third-party plugins. Submarine swaps, as you may know, is a way to address the liquidity issues in Lightning. It's a way to swap on-chain Bitcoins for Lightning Bitcoins, or in the other direction. And this is trustless in the sense that you don't need to trust the party with whom you are doing the swap. So in Electrum, we have been offering this for a while now. This is how it looks like. You can decide how much you send or how much you receive, whether you send on-chain or Lightning. And then you have to pay some fees to the server. And maybe you have already used this function. So it's also called loop, because this is a term used by LND. LND have a similar service called Lightning Loop. So you can loop in. This is a normal swap for us. And the reverse swap is called loop out. But the word loop has been copyrighted, so we don't use it in Electrum. It's been copyrighted by Lightning Labs. Huh? Yeah, seriously. It's not just that. So these are the Submarine swap providers. So Loop from Lightning Lab, it's also not open source. I mean, the LND is open source, of course, but the server part is not. And they distribute binaries for reg tests, but their swap server is not open source. It's actually the way, it's the basis of their business model, so they don't want to make it open source. C Lightning has a feature called peer swap, which is open source, but it only works with that single hop. So it must be with the node that you have a channel with. You cannot swap with a remote node using this. And then there is Bolt. So Bolt has been open source until they decided to be closed source because of a phishing attack. I think now they are open source again. But in Electrum, we used the Bolt server back then. And then when they changed their license, we decided to stop using them. Basically, when you are doing a swap, when you have already implemented the logic to do the swap in the client, you can always move this logic to a server. So we re-implemented our own server. Bolts is also client agnostic. That's a nice feature because you can do a swap with them using their website, using any wallet by scanning a QR code. But there is a price to pay for that because you have to pay fees separately, and it's not trustless. You can actually lose the fees if the payment doesn't work. So I mean, I was invited to give a podcast about that. I mean, I did have a proposal to improve Bolt 11 in order to have two invoices that are bundled together. So it's called bundle payment. But it's too difficult now to change Bolt 11 because everybody is implementing Bolt 12. So it did not happen. So anyway, in Electrum, we used bolts. And now the question is, what can you do with swaps? I'm sorry, yeah, I'm staying. So can Submarine swaps be abused? That's the question. So you can see this is a screenshot from Twitter. So when you move coins using Lightning, typically in a Submarine swap, but also when you do open and close a channel, you get new UTXOs that are completely disconnected from your wallet. So this is potentially much better than a coin join using Wasabi or Whirlpool if you're looking for privacy. And in a sense, you could say that the privacy that you get in Lightning is infecting the on-chain transactions using this kind of feature. So of course, we decided it's a very, very bad feature for us as a company to have. So we decided that we are going to stop being a provider for Submarine swaps. And instead, so yeah, just an example. Electrum has a privacy analysis tool. So any coin in your Electrum wallet, you can click on this tool and see the ancestors of the transactions that are in your wallet that are correlated to this coin. And so, for example, here I have UTXO that is correlated to a bunch of transactions. They can be children or they can be correlated through address reuse. And this screenshot is here to illustrate the fact that address reuse can also kill you, because you could think that this coin is only related to this, but it's actually related to a bunch of other things through address reuse. You see that here there is a UTXO that is coming from a reverse swap, and actually because it's a reverse swap, it's not correlated to anything. So if you do a reverse swap and you open this analysis tool on a freshly received UTXO, this is, I mean, you would get only a single line in this privacy analysis tool. It's not connected to the rest of the coins in your wallet. Yeah, so we decided that we are going to decentralize this service. Instead of having this as a business model for us, we decided to make this a community thing. So now, with this Electrum 4.6 version, any user can become a Submarine swap provider. You just need to run a plugin that is called Swap Server, and there is documentation on how to do that. So this is a screenshot of Electrum where you actually choose your provider. It's a bit old because, well, okay, here you can see the pub keys of the servers and you can see the fees. The legacy server, the server that is run by the company, is the most expensive, 1%. We started at 0.5. We raised it to 1% in order to make room for competition. And I was telling you that this screenshot is a bit old because now we are at 1.5%. We are going to raise it to 2%, and we want to sunset this by the end of the year. So I'm just making it more and more expensive so that other users can actually provide the service and become profitable. I don't want to cut it down right away because a lot of users still use our server, especially because we are the server that has the most liquidity. So there are still users that have to use our server if they need to do large swaps. But yeah, so the way it works is that if you run a swap server, you're going to announce your identity and your fees and your liquidity in a Nostr event. And then the client is going to read all those Nostr events, and this is what the client displays here. And here the user chooses a server, and then all the messages are sent via Nostr messages, which means that you can run this swap server without exposing your IP address because you talk to a Nostr server. And the Lightning node also doesn't need to be a public Lightning node. You can run this with a private node that is connected, for example, to an Electrum trampoline. And so in that case, you don't disclose your IP address neither for the Lightning node nor for the messages because they are sent via Nostr. Okay, so yeah, this is how we decided to address the issue that submarine swaps can be abused. Now I'm going to talk about Electrum plugins because this is another new feature of Electrum 4.6. So Electrum has been offering plugins for a very long time. Okay, we have plugins since version 1.7, almost since the beginning of Electrum. And as you imagine, we are trusted. If we distribute software, people trust that there is no malware in the software that we distribute. So it's very difficult to find the right balance between control and openness. But at this point, we want to open the plugins to third party. In a sense, I mean, we want to let users download plugins that are not controlled by us. So this is why in the new version of Electrum, you have this new button, Add, which allows you to actually add a zip file that is an arbitrary plugin provided by a third party. What can go wrong? Yeah, this is the slide about what can go wrong. So this is what Twitter thinks. I don't know if you can read, but they are all saying it's very bad. Okay, so let me go back a few slides. So yeah, we don't want to be gatekeepers anymore because it's too much work for us. People keep submitting plugins and we don't have time to review them. So here is how a plugin works in Electrum. In the Electrum code, you have a line that has this instruction, run hook, with a name and some parameters. So the name is arbitrary, but if you write a plugin, you can actually catch this name in a function that is going to be called every time this code is executed. And you're going to receive the parameters. And you can even return a result, and the result will be returned in the main Electrum code. So this is how plugins work in Electrum. So if you want to write a plugin, you just need to write a class that implements a few hooks, and is going to modify the behavior of Electrum that way. And there are hooks for a lot of things. This is the plugin landscape currently in Electrum 4.6. And these are the plugins that are shipped in Electrum. So they are in our repo. They have been merged by us. As you can see, there is a bunch of hardware wallets. There are plugins that are visible in the GUI. And there are also those three plugins. They are only for command line. For example, the swap server that I was talking about is a plugin. But yeah, as you see, it's very crowded, and it's not sustainable for us. We are a small team. We don't have the time to review everything. So we decided we really need to make, I mean, the original idea, since the beginning, I wanted plugins to be open in the sense that anyone can provide a plugin, but it was considered very risky. So yeah, there are too many hardware wallets. We cannot include everything, not just because it's too much work, but also because there are plugins that would make it a money transmitter. If an exchange wants to have a plugin, we always say no, and we get this kind of request every 2 or 3 months. Things that would require KYC, AML, we are not going to do that, but why not? Like a CoinJoin plugin, obviously. Okay, so there are also things that are out of scope, like swaps between Bitcoin and coin. Yeah, I heard it's not allowed to talk about that here. But anyway, so all this is the kind of thing that we have been rejecting over the years, and we want to be a little bit more open. So third-party plugins use this add button. They can be installed at runtime by the user. They live in the user space, so they are not in the code source repo, but they are in the user's repository. And they must be pure Python. I'm going to explain why. Okay. So we did not do that because it was considered too dangerous. But what is the threat model? The user can authorize a plugin that contains malware. But this is not really a new threat. If the user decides to shoot themselves in the foot, they can already install malware in their, they can install malware that is going to modify Bitcoin address in their clipboard on their computer. Whatever you run on your computer can steal your Bitcoins, right? Unless you have a hardware wallet. My point is that the idea that the user is going to install a plugin and this plugin is going to be malware, this is not a new threat, okay? What we want to avoid is that malware that lives on your computer installs a plugin or without the user agreeing on this plugin. This is the threat. That's a distinction. We want the user to manually agree that this plugin is authorized to run, and we don't want a plugin to be installed by a third party, whether it's a virus or your office mate. So this is what we came up with. The user is going to define a new password, completely new, and it's not the wallet password, it's a plugin authorization password. And from this password, we derive a private key, a public key. And then whenever they want to install a plugin, they are going to, well, first they have to create this password, and then they have to enter this password. And with this password, we derive the public key, or a key pair, and then we're going to sign the plugin. And the password does not reside in memory. It's instantly deleted after you have signed the plugin. So the only thing that remains is the signature that authorizes the plugin, and this is written in your computer. And the public key that corresponds to this authorization, you need administrator rights in order to write this in your computer. So on Linux, it's going to live in /etc. On Windows, it's going to use regedit. On Mac, it's also going to use /etc. And so by doing that, we ensure that malware cannot modify this key, unless this malware has root permissions. All right? If the malware has root permissions, you are dead already. So it's not really creating a new attack vector. So this is, if you want to create a new plugin, this is what it should contain. It should contain a manifest file, an init file, and then one or more Python modules. And the manifest file, you have an example here. So it typically contains a name for the plugin, a description, and this is the case of a hardware wallet. This is a Blockstream Jade. So it also indicates an icon and the type of key store that is creating for this hardware wallet. Okay, I said you need to create plugins. Third-party plugins must be pure Python. And that's a limitation not decided by us, but it's a limitation of the Python language. We need this in order, we are not going to unzip this file because then it's too complicated. The malware could modify the code source at runtime. So in order for to have a consistent signature, we only sign the zip file and not all the files that are inside. And for this, the plugin must be a zip file. And currently, zip file in Python, they do not allow to include non-Python libraries. But maybe Python will evolve and this will change. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, for hardware wallets, now our policy is that we are not going to accept new hardware wallets. So we ask you, if you are a constructor of a hardware wallet, to actually write a third-party plugin. And what we can do is actually bundle the non-Python binaries, the dependencies, of your hardware wallet, because the number of those dependencies grows at a much lower pace than the number of hardware wallets. They all use the same dependency, mostly HIDAPI, or libUSB. I mean, this is the typical kind of dependencies that are required by hardware wallets. So if we have this policy of not accepting new hardware wallet plugins, but merging their dependencies, then we will have much less work. Okay, so this is a demonstration, but I'm not going to give it to you now, about how to create a plugin for the Jade wallet. So this plugin actually can be installed in the wizard. Before you have created your wallet, you can actually import the correct plugin for your hardware wallet. And this is what this demonstration was about. All right, okay, so this is the last slide. Just if you are interested in writing a plugin, you should ask yourself whether it should be a third-party plugin or not, because you can still submit a plugin to us. But if you submit a plugin to us to be merged, then the process is going to be much slower. So if your plugin can be written in pure Python and you want to have the control over the development cycle, meaning you don't want to wait 6 months until we have reviewed your code, go for a third-party plugin. And also your users need to trust you, because you could obviously be writing malware at this point. But if you're doing a hardware wallet, I mean, they are already trusting you. Yeah. Okay, I don't know if I have more time, because I have another set of, I mean, there was a part 2 to this talk. How much time do I have? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Nostr. Yeah, so that was the tweet hash PDF. Yeah. So these are not slides. This is just a random idea I had several years ago. I wrote this before I knew about Nostr, but Nostr is very nice. We now support Nostr in Electrum. So what I'm talking about here is an idea to fight spam in a peer-to-peer protocol, microblogging protocol, similar to Nostr. So in the current Nostr, there is proof of work. You can attach proof of work to a post. And you can also, I don't know if it works very well, but there is this idea of an expensive relay where you pay the relay, and the relay only accepts posts for which people have paid. But the issue with that is that the other relays don't know about this. They have no way to verify that the user paid, so it's not going to scale. In my opinion, the main issue with Nostr remains potential abuse with spam. So this idea is that instead of paying a relay, we're going to burn some coins. And we're not going to burn them. I mean, we are going to pay the Bitcoin miners. So they are going to be burned as a Bitcoin fee. Okay? So let me... Yeah. So imagine are you already familiar with open timestamps?
Yes.
So open timestamps is a notarization protocol where you can use a very large Merkle tree and you can notarize an arbitrary number of documents with a single op return. The op return contains the root hash of a Merkle tree, that would be here, and your documents are on the leaves, okay? And then you can create a Merkle proof that a certain document has been notarized in this block of the Bitcoin blockchain. So the idea is to do the same for every tweet or every post on Nostr, but to attach a fee to this. So if you look at this tree, you can create a system where we attach a fee to this transaction. In this case, it would be 8 Satoshi. And some users have decided to pay 1 Satoshi, another guy paid 2, another guy paid 4. So people can choose how much they pay. But so this payment is attached to the post. So what they would do is that they are going to send this post to a notary, and they are going to pay the notary. They pay the notary using Lightning, and the notary is going to notarize all these posts. And he's going to give a lower branch to the guy who paid the most. Okay? So if you assume that the payments are powers of 2, you can organize your payments in a binary tree like this, and you can make it so that the longer, the smaller your payment is, the higher your leaf is. And you can go below 1 Satoshi because you pay with Lightning, so you can, you're not forced to pay 1 Satoshi, you can choose to pay less. So in this protocol, every user decides how much they pay. But every user also decides what they filter. So in your user preference, you can say, I don't want to see posts that paid less than 0.5 Satoshi. And this would be filtered out. You would not see them, and you would not relay it to the other relays. So the idea here is that there would be a market for user attention, for how much is your attention worth. Are you going to read something that paid less than a certain threshold? And then you can improve this. Okay, I don't know if I have a figure for that. Okay, well, okay, let me just, yeah, you can also improve the protocol in the sense that you can attach fee to a retweet. If you retweet the tweet of someone else, you attach a fee to your retweet, and this is going to give them visibility. So maybe their tweet was below your threshold, but after it has been retweeted by some other person, it becomes visible by you because it has been successful. Yeah, so this figure is about how to combine those trees. This is what the notary would do, because the notary obviously has to notarize stuff very fast. We don't want to wait a block. We don't want to wait 10 minutes. So what we are going to do is we are going to trust the mempool. And in the mempool, let's say this notary has a forest of trees. This tree, this tree, this tree. And then he receives a new tweet. Well, sorry, he has those 2 trees, and these are new tweets. So he can actually organize them in a new tree that is a new transaction. And this transaction is going to replace, using RBF, the previous sets of transactions in the mempool. So in this forest, TX2 is a child of TX1. And so if you replace TX1 in the mempool, TX2 is going to be eliminated. So TX1 prime is going to replace those 2 things. And it works because the fee is higher. So with...
What's the incentive in the mempool for generating all these? Because you have to mercantilize everything every time. Like, if it lives in the mempool and you're trusting the mempool, like, what is the incentive for creating these tricks for the miner?
Okay, the notary is an entity that you pay, and you would actually pay them a little bit more than the fee that is attached to the tweet. So, sorry? If I said here that there is 4 Satoshis that have been added to this tweet, okay? But the notary can charge 10% more. So we can create a Lightning invoice with 4.4 Satoshi. No. No, the notary is paid on Lightning, and then the notary creates this transaction and sends it to the mempool. So the notary pays this fee, but he gets paid on Lightning. And the notary pays a fee that is on-chain. But this is just an illustration of the fact that the notary doesn't, once you have broadcast a tree in the mempool, it's not static. You can replace it if you receive new tweets, because these new tweets, they add more fee. So you can actually do an RBF and add more tweets to the current, until it is mined, you can add more and more. So that's how it would, that's how it would work faster than the 10 minutes that you have to wait until the block is mined. Yeah, and then this is just to describe that you can actually retweet a tweet and add a fee to the retweet and these kind of things. So this notary is an entity that is separate from the Nostr relay, but the Nostr relay and the Nostr client would need to actually, I mean, mostly the client would need to have an SPV verification of the tweets that have been mined. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. Okay. So that's just an idea. I mean, Jordi likes. I mean, Jordi. I did this for Jordi because he likes Nostr, and he wanted to know about this funny idea about. I mean, I think it could be a proposal to fight the spam on Nostr. Of course, it's very different from proof of work, but proof of work is. I mean, proof of work is a lot simpler than that. I give you that, but. If you're a miner, then you have a miner, you can direct your miner for proof of work, and here you can do that too, you can spam, but you need to be a rich guy. Well, choose your poison. All right, okay, I'm done.